Good morning, Ali Rose, Mohammed, Aryan. Welcome, David. Sorry, I'm trying to get organized. It's Saturday. Usually I do them on Fridays when kids are in school, but we're out for the holidays. So as much as I would like everything to stay completely on task, we're going to do our very best to understand that there may be distractions, and we're okay with that. As long as I can reach my stuff, we're in good shape. Okay. Just give it one more minute. That's good enough. Reach it. Then we hum. All right. Katie K, welcome. Sorry, I'm just trying to... I need a bigger desk. I don't think that's true. I just need more space on it. So, for all the people that have... I'm not sure if it's up there yet, but by the end of this week, I will have the Soulful Essence, Rock, and P, welcome. I will have the Grace in the Grind content up on my website at creativelyguided.ca. You can go there and check out all... There's a healing hub that has all of my content so far. Welcome, Red Rum. And you can also go to my YouTube at Creativity Guides Me, and I always post the replays for that, for the monthly action steps for each signs. Brandon Watts, welcome. So, and Grace in the Grind will be up there. There's this week and next week, which will, next week I think is the 2nd. So it's just the very first week of January that it ends. Jordan Steve Obeski, welcome. So, anyways, what we're talking about today is expectation versus capacity. I have a lot of notes. I kept them down. If you've seen my ads coming out all week, that's kind of what it talks about. But this week is about capacity, not performance. Capacity is not fixed. It changes from day to day, from hour to hour. Balance doesn't always look even, and it doesn't mean you're failing. You can be tilted and still be standing. Welcome, Zach. So, expectation is what you think should be done, right? Usually from some programming, from what parents expect of you, your kids, your husband, your other family members, your work. Like, there's a million other things that people expect of you than also what you expect of yourself, which is usually far more than you would expect of your best friend or your parents or your kids, right? Welcome, Jojo. So, responsibility responds to reality, right? And your capacity is what you can actually hold physically, emotionally, mentally. So when you have the responsibility and you start taking responsibility for that and learning to understand the difference, it becomes a lot easier to protect your peace, your mental health, your ability to show up and how you show up for things. Meek, Roshan, welcome. So, guilt shows up when expectations exceed capacity, not because we're failing, but because we're forcing. We're trying to get everything done in this small period of time, and who else is going to do it? Well, I have to do this, I have to do that. But how much of that actually do you have to do? Like, is the world going to stop if you don't? And when we start understanding the difference of what our expectation is versus somebody else's expectation, and if our expectation is far more than we would expect of anybody else, then clearly we're putting our expectations for ourselves way too high for what we're trying to do in a day. Welcome, JR and Chill Boys. So, the guilt shows up when expectations exceed capacity, but it's not because we're failing, it's because we're forcing it, right? Doing less is often the most honest choice we can make. Wilbo Baggins, welcome. Kimmy, Emily, Benjamin, welcome. So how we confuse responsibility with self-pressure, right? There's always the things that we know we have to do, and we got to do this and do that, and our work expects this, and our parents expect this, and our kids expect this. But then we also know that we're humans, and we can only do so much in one day. Oh, it's that guy. Welcome. And Juliet, welcome. So learning the difference is kind of what we're talking about here, especially in December, around the holidays. We have a lot of things going on. The kids come home for the holidays. We're busy. We're trying to do life and work and do all the things with all the extra added things on top of that. But sometimes learning that these expectations that we put on ourselves are just that. There's something we've put on ourselves and not something that is forced. We're forcing it. We're putting that pressure on ourselves. And then when we don't do it, we feel that guilt or shame, and we shouldn't be doing that. Angie, welcome. So I just want to talk a little bit about how doing less is often the most honest thing that we can do, and how it's going to actually help support us. Because when we start to understand our expectation versus our capacity, we really truly start to understand we're not in survival mode anymore. Now we're getting to a space where everything was life or death. If I don't get this done, don't get this done, don't get this done, somebody dies, right? And in our brains, we've been forced into that survival mode. And teaching ourselves that and keeping that in our brain, it's been ingrained in our brain for so long that when we sit down and we take that moment, we feel guilty. We don't know what to do with ourselves, and we start to get confused at what's going on. Sorry, thirsty. And it's because our body's learning to slow down, and we don't quite know how to deal with that because we have never had the opportunity to deal with that. Yes, the opportunity. So we often confuse responsibility with self-pressure. Responsibility is responding to what's actually in front of us with honesty and care. Self-pressure comes from internalized expectations, the belief that we should be able to do more, handle more, or push through, regardless of what our body, mind, or nervous system is telling us. And when I tell you I know that. I only know that. I'm still learning this. I've gotten much better at it, but this is something I've had to actively work on for a long, long time. And then what happens is you take on all your expectations and everyone else's expectations, and it weighs you down until you feel like a failure. And we're not doing that anymore. Welcome, John Patrick. So, when we blur that line, everything starts to feel urgent, heavy, and personal. And we get weighed down. We feel like waking up becomes an extreme task. Getting up out of bed, doing these small things because we're so weighed down with the expectation. 10:10 on the clock. Thank you, Spirit. We're so weighed down with all the things we feel we have to do. When most of the time we don't actually truly have to do that. And if we actually sat down and took a few moments in the morning and said, how am I feeling today? What's going on? Tajinder, welcome. So if we sat and we kind of had that conversation with ourselves, how am I feeling today? Take note of your body. Are you having aches? Are you having pains? Are you having things that maybe your body's trying to tell you you need to rest just a little bit? Cat Bros, welcome. So guilt usually shows up when expectations exceed capacity, not because we're failing, but because we're asking ourselves to perform beyond what's real in that moment. Doing less isn't giving up. It's often the most honest thing we can do. Honoring capacity is an act of integrity. It's choosing truth over performance and alignment over approval, and care over burnout. Because once you're burnt out, you're so wore down, the ability to get up and do these everyday tasks sometimes is just absolutely draining. And we're not doing that anymore. And I just want to mention, when we come out of survival mode and we start to feel safe in our surroundings, our body is relaxing. It's starting to relax. Our nervous system is starting to de-escalate. we're able to sit still in moments and not feel like the whole world is out to get us. We're starting to dream about these things that we want to do, and starting to understand that it's okay to take those extra moments in the morning, to be grateful, to say our I ams in the mirror, to take that extra time in the shower and just breathe, right? Ready, set, FIFO, welcome. How are you? So these are just a couple questions, right? Is what I'm asking of myself today realistic, or is it inherited pressure? Is it something that, like, friends, family, schools, TV programming, any of that put the pressure on you to do? Or is it what you actually can do? Good morning, Michelle. Welcome. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. And then capacity is truth. It's not weakness. It's you checking in with your body, with your mental health. Not just your body, your mental health too. Am I ready to do this? Can I handle this today? Is there something that I must do that if I can let go of, that maybe I can take on another day? We're not talking about procrastination, but we're understanding that usually what we have, our expectations for us, is usually way more than what we would ever expect of somebody else. And when we start understanding that and we try to bring that back to a balanced space, we have to realize that we have to let go of doing certain things and saying, okay, maybe in this moment I can't do this, I can't do that, but if I know this needs to be done, well, then I got to balance this out with some self-care, with a way to show up for myself, to treat myself, to celebrate myself for doing these extras. Coming out of survival mode is how we manifest, but we can't manifest if we're constantly rushing and doing other things for everybody else. So when we understand that capacity is our truth, our mental truth, our physical truth, and our emotional truth, right? Because we want to stay balanced, and we can't stay balanced when we're constantly way out of whack in one or more places. So when we learn to reframe capacity to understand that it's not laziness, it's not quitting, it's telling us the truth, how we feel in our body, in our minds, in our soul. It's the truth. It's not weakness. Okay? It's not failure. It's truth. It's your body, mind, and nervous system telling you what is actually available. Slowing down isn't a collapse. It's often the first sign you're no longer operating in survival mode. Eric, welcome. Sandy and GWR, welcome. When the system finally feels safe enough to pause, it asks for care instead of force. Because when you're in survival mode, you just push through, push, and you never refill. So then you get so drained and so down and out, you don't know how to refill it. So when we understand that if we can release some of these things that are way over expectation, whether it be from us, from other people, from work, from our kids, our family, any holidays, all those things, when we learn how to release what we don't need to carry, our load obviously becomes lighter, and then it's a lot easier to balance out. Elaine? Sorry, if I can't read your name, I apologize respectfully, but welcome. Dalal, welcome. So, when we listen to capacity, we conserve energy, we regulate our nervous system, and we build sustainability instead of exhaustion. When we run on exhaustion, our body will let us know. You'll have aches, you'll have pains, your breathing will feel heavier, everything will just feel like you're carrying a ball and chain, literally, and we don't want to do that anymore. Welcome, MB. So this is how growth becomes steady instead of destructive, when we can balance the capacity versus expectations. And yes, a lot of times what's truly going to matter is we need to understand that we need to lower our expectations. And yes, it's okay to set the bar high. It's okay to want to do all these great things. But while you're learning how to balance that, until you actually learn how to balance and discern what's more important, actually taking that time to slow down and do just a little bit less allows you to sort what is needed, what isn't needed, and literally ask yourself, would I expect that of my children? Would I expect that of my best friend? Would I punish somebody if they couldn't meet all of these expectations? Would I punish somebody? No. So why would I do that to myself? And if I wouldn't do that to myself, then clearly there must be something that I need to release. I need to let go. I need to adjust. I need to move over or find another way to balance it. Wumia, Vero, and Mama, welcome. So, sorry. Eventually the nervous system, I skipped a spot here. Sorry. I'm trying to keep to my notes so I don't get too far off. Beauty, welcome. So, honoring capacity is how we prevent burnout. Burnout doesn't come from doing too little. It comes from consistently doing too much while ignoring internal signals, right? And that's what happens. We just go, and then we're so drained we don't know how to get up. We can't figure out what's going on, and we don't have the capacity to sit and sort through it because we're just exhausted. And even that feels like an absolutely daunting task, right? So when we listen to capacity, we conserve the energy, we regulate our nervous system, and we build sustainability instead of exhaustion. And this is how growth becomes steady instead of destructive. So ignoring capacity creates resentment, shame, and shutdown, right? Why didn't I do this? Why wasn't this good enough? Why can't I do as good as this person or that person? We're not living like that anymore. We're past that. Welcome, Ocean. So when we push past what's real, we start resenting ourselves and others, right? Shame creeps in because we believe we should be able to do more. Eventually, the system protects itself by shutting down completely, and that's not good. That's when we have health issues. That's when exhaustion. That's when getting up and trying to do your dishes or even cook a decent meal is just too much. And when we get to that space, we don't want to do that anymore. That's not failure. It's self-preservation after being unheard for too long. And unheard by even yourself. You've abandoned yourself and you've let yourself fall to the side while doing all these expectations everyone else, including yourself, expected of you. But those same tasks that you would have never expected anyone else to do. So if you would never expect anyone else to do it, why would you put that much pressure on yourself? We're trying to teach ourselves grace in this moment. We're understanding that coming out of survival mode, that takes some healing. It takes a lot of time. It takes patience and commitment to self. So when we do these things, we still keep that bar high with these expectations, but we wouldn't do that for anybody else. So we're learning to give ourselves grace, and we're learning how to balance that and understand that. And it takes a moment, and it takes commitment, and it takes time. But if we can start practicing this and putting it in the tool belt, it's a lot easier to discern, what we need to hold on to, what we need to let go, and what can just be put off till later, or maybe take a small step towards that task and not do the entire task. Because sometimes the task is like a whole bunch of things, and we start it and we feel like we need to finish it, and maybe we don't. Maybe we need to do a chunk of it and breathe and wait because the next chunk of it is coming, but maybe there's something we need to learn before that happens. So giving ourselves that grace to be present and really feel what it is, we allow ourselves the time to do those things. Welcome, Nicholas. Thank you for the likes. Appreciate you. How are you? So yeah, capacity is not about perfection. It's about listening. It's learning to trust your body over external expectations, urgency, or comparison. Welcome, Tony and Promise and Joe. When you honor capacity, you're not falling behind. You're aligning with what's real. And alignment is where healing really begins. We're not rushing ourselves anymore. We're not punishing ourselves when things get chaotic. We're saying, hey, I'm feeling a little tired today. Hey, I'm not feeling, I don't have the emotional well-being today. I feel exhausted. I feel short. And that can go with the moon system signals, can go with the zodiac signs. It can go with anything. It can just be exhaustion. It could be trauma. It could be all kinds of things. Good morning, Ashley, and good morning, S. So it's learning to understand that some days we just don't have it in us to do that extra or to do those things. And then it's saying, okay, today I know I don't feel at my best. Just like in the best example is those partnerships, right? Those marriages where they literally come to the table and say, like, today I I have about 30%, and the husband says today I have about 50%. So between the two of us, we don't even have 100%. We're tired. Work's getting in the way, all these things. But it's being able to say, okay, I see you and I feel you, and I'm going to sit with you through it. Okay? And we both are not at 100%. So we're going to start making time to give each other grace and say, I understand that, we're going to take that extra step to not be short with each other, but it's understanding that you're seen and you're felt and you're heard. And even if you don't have a partner at the time to do it, you can say that, have those conversations with your kids, have those conversations with yourself, right? And even at your work, you ever just go in and say, man, I'm kind of not having a great day. Is there anything I can do? Or maybe, like, say it's a service job and, you're right there all the time. Is there anything that I can do that is maybe not always going to be here, that gives me a little space? Because I'm not at my happiest best, and I feel like that could be a struggle. And when you say those things, if you're at a decent place, they're going to say, oh, we can find something in the back for you to do. Or, they're willing to work with you if you learn how to communicate it. But first, you need to learn to understand what it is and not punish yourself, right? Welcome, Bree and Kelly and MD. So, capacity is truth. It's not weakness. It's how your body communicates safety, limits, and sustainability. Listening prevents burnouts, and ignoring it recreates survival mode, which is the whole thing we've been trying to get out of. And if you're anything like me, who lived in survival mode pretty much their whole life, this portion is something that not only I've learned to do fairly well, I'm getting much better at it. I still struggle with it. But it's one of those things where I have to constantly check myself, because am I doing too much? Am I going too far? So yesterday, just a small example. I was helping at my daughter's school, and I volunteered to do that, and I really, truly loved it. They're having pancake day, and so we served, I don't know, a couple thousand pancakes, and the kids came in and out. We had to clean up. A lot of cleanup, a lot of resetting up the tables. It was super fun. They had fantastic manners. They truly did. The energy was great. But at the end and after that, and my daughter came home early because it was a fun day. So we just said, okay, if she's done for the day, that's just fine. And she came home, and it was just, we got home and I was wore out, and I couldn't even believe I was wore out, because I've worked 1,000 times harder, like, all the time. But it was just because it was a lot of energy. It was a lot of fun, but it was also just go, 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 go. And understanding that we came home, it was cheap dinner. It was not a healthy dinner by far. Chicken nuggets and french fries. But we were wore out. We were tired. She was tired. I was tired. And we just kicked our feet up and said, no, we're going to take the rest of the night off. We're not going to do anything. We both recognized that we were tired, and it's okay to be tired. We've been going for so long. That small moment, I knew that I would get up and I maybe would have to do the dishes from dinner. But I could have been like, oh my God, I'll have to do this, I'll have to do that. And I like to always have them done, and that's something that I always have to do. But for that one night, I was like, nope, you know what? We're resting. We're tired. We had a long day, long week, and that's it. And we did, and we kicked our feet up, and it was like the most peaceful. She just snuggled up with me on the couch. It was the most absolute peace that we had in so long. And we were both just sitting there smiling because we took that time for ourselves. And it's the smallest of things. It doesn't have to be this huge jump or this huge crazy thing we're doing. It's just understanding that in some moments we're just tired. And when we respect that, we allow our body that space to heal, and we regain our strength much, much faster, right? Welcome, Sean and Honk and Soulful Essence. Welcome. So what we're trying to do is talk a lot about why honoring the capacity prevents burnout, right? Because when you start listening to your body and listening to your emotional health, your mental health, because keeping up with the Joneses is a lot of extra work. Why do we want to do that? We don't want to compete with anybody but our own self, right? And at the end of the day, even if we don't do more than the day before, and I've actually had to check myself in the mirror as of lately, it's not about am I doing more? Am I being more meaningful? Am I being intentional with all of the things that I'm doing? Is this something that is going to cause me more chaos or more peace? And every single time I'm checking myself and I want to bring it back to peace, right? And the things that I do on any given day, is this going to be enough for today? If I push, so if I make my list and I decide I'm going to do these 5 things today, and I automatically take 2 off. I'm going to make sure these 3 things get done today. And if I'm going to push it, then I'll get all 5 done. But we'll see how I feel after these 3 priorities are done. And those priorities may be 3 different things each time, but it doesn't matter. These 3 things are the priority, and I'm not going farther than that. And if I get them done, then my day is a win, right? And learning how to do that. And then, you know what usually happens if I allow myself that space and say only those 3, not only do I usually end up getting all 5 done, I usually get 1 or 2 things done on something else that wasn't even aligned, because something inspired me to do this and this also. So not only do I usually end up getting all 5 of my tasks done, plus a couple more over here, I got to do those little extras because I only committed myself to those 3. I sat in the morning and I made that intention and said, these 3 I have the capacity for. I'm doing them. They are my must-haves. If possible, if I can overexert a little bit without over pushing it, we'll start with 1. If I get that done, we'll see how I feel. Then we'll get the next one. Usually it ends up happening, you get all that done, and it usually becomes a very flowing day. You get a lot of things done. But it's because you checked in with yourself and said, hey, do I have the capacity for this? And if there's something I need to get rid of off this list, what are the most important ones? Let's start with those, right? And if I can't get all of those 3 done, I know I need to get a minimum of 2 done. Then you're going to start with 3. Then you're going to keep going. And usually when you do it, because you're allowing yourself the space, you're allowing yourself to check in, do I really need to do that today? Can I change my mind on that? It's possible? Okay. So, but you're checking in. How am I feeling? What level am I at here? What level am I at? If somebody calls and says, I need you to do this, what are you going to say? I'm at my capacity. I'm sorry. I cannot do that today. Learning how to say no is going to be your biggest win. No is a whole sentence. It's a complete sentence. You don't have to explain yourself. You're living your own life, and people don't know what you carry, but you do. So when you recognize it and you treat yourself as that friend that you always wished you had, you start telling people how to treat you, and you teach them how to treat you, and in turn teach yourself how to treat yourself. Says, welcome, Dwork and Loveness, welcome. So when we ignore the capacity, we create the resentment, the shame, the shutdown, and we don't want to do that. So when we start listening to ourselves, we get to change the stress, and we get to change all that. And we need to understand that it also changes, right? Our capacity changes with stress, trauma, sleep. How much sleep did we get? Our hormones, grief. Are we struggling with something? Are we healing? Right? So it's not perfection. It's just the truth. And when we learn to understand the difference and sit with it and just get curious, what level am I at today? And you'll find that when you do some of these tasks that you say, okay, I'm going to do these are my must-haves, what happens is you actually energize yourself, because as you're taking that moment to fill your own cup and you're resting in between, you're saying, oh, I actually really did enjoy doing that task a lot more. That was a gift. I got to do that task, right? And I got it done. So yay me, I celebrate myself. So what happens when you celebrate yourself for that moment? You get that much more energy, because we're celebrating our small tasks, our big wins. It doesn't matter what they are. We're celebrating all along the way. I don't care if it's getting yourself a cupcake or if it's patting yourself on the back, doing your little dance, doesn't matter. We did it. Yay me, doesn't matter. Okay, and when you start showing up for yourself like that, just like you would cheer on your best friend, you're being your own best friend. ML, welcome, and Sarah, and Christine, and Google, welcome. I'm sorry if I butcher your names. So this is kind of what I do in the morning, or a good kind of guideline practice. I mean, we're all going to have our own way, but I just want you to understand that it's just asking simple questions. So if you have to maneuver it a little bit for yourself, it's not a big deal. It's just a basic template, and then you can add to it, adjust it, whatever. But these are just really basic things, right? So how am I actually feeling today, right? When I wake up, I look at the sky. Probably you're just opening your eyes. How am I feeling today? Get up, get dressed, do the things, ask yourself again, brush your teeth, do all of the things, then say, how am I feeling today? Check in a couple times just to make sure, because we're comparing and we're making sure we still feel that level, right? Ari Srill and Nikki and MZ, welcome. So, and then what do I realistically have energy for, right? So if your level's up here, you probably have quite a bit of energy for this, right? But that could be a lot of active physical things. I can get this done, this done, this done, the cleaning, the this. Okay. Can I sit down? Do I have the ability to sit at my computer and write a whole bunch of stuff? Probably not. But the physical movement of something, okay. So what is my task going to be today? Any of the movement tasks. I have high energy. I feel good. I'm going to avoid the computer tasks, any of those things, till the end of the day. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Welcome, Mia. So really understanding what you have the energy for, and then understanding what that energy is. If you're feeling energetic and movement, we're not going to stay sitting at a computer trying to type out something, because it's probably not going to be beneficial to use that energy, right? So that's what I mean by capacity. We're understanding exactly what level, what we can do. Maybe I'm feeling really sore today. My ankles are hurting or something. So maybe getting up and walking around too much is going to be a lot. So, but I feel okay. Mentally, I feel clear. I just don't want to do a lot of extra movement because I'm going to cause more soreness on my ankle or something, right? So, okay, so maybe today I have this task, all these tasks I can do on the computer. This would be a great day to do that, right? And if I get all these tasks done today on the computer, what's that going to do? That's going to save me another, 4 days. I've done the 4 days or the week's worth of stuff on the computer. Now I have the rest of the week. I can do all my physical tasks. So really, when we learn our capacity and we understand what it is, by asking, what do I realistically have energy for today? We take all that energy and we focus it into that one section or one subtext, right? And we celebrate each win, each time we do it. So we build that energy and we boost it. Welcome back up, Mandy and Adeline. So, and what happens is we may get way more done on this task, and we still may have this done. So maybe I didn't do my dishes from breakfast, but I know I'm going to have to do them at dinner. I'm going to make dinner, so I'll do them at dinner time. But if I take that extra hour that I didn't do at breakfast, but no, Miss Grace, nope, Grace, don't do that. Okay, but we had an agreement, right? So don't, because you know what the agreement is. Okay, can I you stop asking that. You know that. Sorry, like I said, it's Saturday, so we work with our kid. And again, when we understand that at the end of the day, we know we got all this other stuff done, so it may take an extra 10 minutes doing our dishes, maybe even not, because there's probably 4 or 5 dishes, right? But you know it's getting done at the end of the day, and you didn't wear yourself out. But in doing all of that computer tasks, you now created a whole free week of stuff that you don't have to do now at the computer, so you can do all the other stuff. So understanding that capacity and learning where you can switch it out and maneuver it to be your most beneficial self, and celebrating all your wins along the way, is where you're going to find you don't get burnout, you don't get wore out, because you're learning how to take it and focus it into whichever one you do based on how you're feeling emotionally, mentally, and physically, right? And then what would support my nervous system today? So is there something throughout, so talking about the computer, doing a lot of the computer work in one day, do you start to feel stress and tense from sitting at the computer? Is there something that I can do in between when I get up with not too much movement? Some music I can put on, some sounds I can put on in the background that help keep me regulated and from being overexerting or exhausting to myself? Are there things that I can do to make how I sit a little bit better? These are just little things to do that would make less aggravating, would make yourself feel less stressed, less anxious, or less needing to get done. I'm doing computer, so I'm going to try and show you. It's kind of a mess, so bear with me. But I don't know if you can see that, I have a whole wall of work stuff, okay? But if you look how I'm doing it, even on my to do. So when I start doing my progress, right, and I'm doing my work, especially my computer work, because it can be overwhelming for me. Me time, 5-minute reset. Doesn't matter what it is, right? These are just little sticky notes that are on my board. 5-minute meditation, close eyes, deep breaths, clear mind. These are those things. These are celebrating when you're done tasks. How can I support my nervous system today? Movement, music first. Get up, do a little dance, things like that. These are little, how can I reset my nervous system? How can I help support that? These are things that I've created for myself that make it a little bit easier so I don't get overwhelmed, so I don't hinder myself, and so I'm celebrating my wins. And I check in. I don't let myself go over 40 minutes on the computer, like doing computer work, without taking a section to go, okay, 5-minute reset. Doesn't matter what it is. And I'll set timers. If I'm finding myself pushing past, like if it's 40 minutes and I look up and all of a sudden it's been an hour, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing my plan very well. I literally bought a timer and I will set that timer for 40 minutes. And because I'm checking myself. Nope, now you're starting to push yourself and overwhelm yourself, which is going to dysregulate you. So setting that timer says, no, we agreed, mind, body, soul, we agreed 40 minutes. Then we do our 5-minute reset. Or we're going to take our little 5-minute meditation, right? And we're going to do whatever it takes to reset our nervous system and celebrate and review all of the things we've already accomplished. Because usually you've already done 1,000 different things and you're like, holy crap, I got all that done. You don't realize the stuff that you can actually do when you set your capacity and you understand, get rid of the expectation and minimize your expectation to 2 or 3 things. And everything else is a bonus. And when you take it on and you get the bonuses, you get those little extra wins, and then you're not feeling like you're failing. For sure you're not failing. And you're doing all the priorities, and you're not taking on all this other crap. And you're allowing your nervous system, your mind, your body, and your soul to start to align and relax, which is the best thing you can ever do for yourself. So obviously that's what we want, is a slow morning instead of rushing. Welcome, Weevo and Mitten and Davy. That's a slow morning instead of rushing. Fewer tasks, but done with presence. So making sure that we're being there in the moment and really sitting with them. Choosing one meaningful thing instead of 10 draining ones. And capacity can change midday, and it's allowed, right? And that's why I say, if we have create 3 priorities we must do, right? If we start with 5 and then we take 2 off, we're at 3. What if something really happened and it was really draining, and you have to cut it down to 2? Are you going to punish yourself because you didn't get the 3 done? No. You're going to say, man, I was just really tired today. Give myself grace, because you know you're going to make up for it when you actually sit with yourself and you give yourself that same grace you would give to your children, to your loved ones, to your parents. You ever watch your parents work until they're exhausted and feel bad because you wish you could help them, but there's nothing you can do? It's because they had to learn to help themselves, and they had to learn to separate that. And a lot of us don't learn that until we're a little bit older, because we're so used to those expectations. High grades, sports, and this and that, and all of the things we have to do, and then get into college and do this and get a job, and you know, all of these things are high expectations, right? But we get stuck in that grind so much, we're competing and comparing with other people, and we don't want to do that, right? So the idea is we want to, first of all, normalize changing our mind. It's okay. We're allowed. It's a gift. It was given to us. Welcome, Oscar and Firefly of Asia. I like that name. Normalize changing your mind. You're allowed to reassess. Check in with yourself as much as possible, right? Every couple hours, check in. Like I was saying, when I'm doing computer work, every 40 minutes, I set a timer. So I'm checking in. How am I feeling? Am I starting to feel overwhelmed or anxious? Because when you start to feel overwhelmed or anxious, you don't get as much done. It becomes stressful and all that. So you become agitated, and you don't want to do that anymore. So when you start checking in and you say, okay, maybe doing all that computer stuff wasn't a great idea because I'm starting to feel anxious. I'll give myself one more chunk of time, and if I'm feeling that again in that chunk of time, then it's time to stop, and we're going to reassess, and see what other tasks we can do in between or around that. Especially after doing all this school stuff, doing my business plan and all of that, and creating my website, I was at the computer a lot, and learning how to make sure I had to break it down in those sections and do something in between when it started to get overwhelming was the only way I got through it. So when we learn to reassess at every stage, we normalize changing our mind, and we understand that when we change our mind and we go do something else, we then build the energy to come back and do these other things again, which is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. We're starting to feel drained. We're supposed to stop, whatever it is, and we go and we find something else that's going to fill our cup. It's going to make us feel like a win. It's going to make us feel like we completed something, and in turn, that's going to empower us to do it again and give us the confidence to understand we're not failing over here. We just needed a break because our brain was feeling overwhelmed. Our nervous system was feeling overwhelmed. That's something when we learn to do that, when we're absolutely winning, right? Welcome, Bree and Brenda and Hales. How are you? And then, you're allowed to reassess, you're allowed to stop, and you're allowed to move slower than planned. Okay? We got to let go of shame when plans change. Good for you. Just take it easy. No expectations. Remember, it's okay to be hopeful. It's always great to be hopeful. But don't set yourself up for failure. Check yourself. Feel how you're feeling. I'm excited for you. Truly, I am excited for you. I hope everything goes well. And this is what we're talking about today, is expectations versus capacity. So just don't let stress bother you. Don't let it come over you. And just get excited. Be excited, be reasonable, and put no pressure on it. Welcome, Kathy. So, normalize changing your mind. You're allowed to reassess. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to move slower than planned. We have to let go of shame when plans change. And when we start to learn to be flexible, it means that we're starting to trust ourselves. So we're not going to punish ourselves. We're not going to hurt ourselves. We're not going to be mean to ourselves. We're not going to yell at ourselves. Like, would we yell at our kids if they didn't get everything done all the time? No. Grace, no. Oh, that's funny. No, because that's not what we do. We understand, okay, is that all you have in you for today? Okay, then we're going to work with that. We're not saying don't try or don't push yourself. We're saying we've been living our life on push ourselves to out of survival for so long, we push ourselves till there's nothing left. And what are we teaching our kids? They're going to be high stress, high anxiety. They're going to have all kinds of those same struggles that we had because we're showing them that. And I know when you don't know any better, absolutely, you got to do what you got to do. But we're coming out of survival mode. We've been working on healing. We've been doing all this work, checking in with ourselves, trusting ourselves. So why are we going to keep punishing ourselves and putting this expectation on ourselves that we would never expect on anybody else, right? So grace is the ability to adjust without self-attack, right? If I change my mind, if I'm just not feeling it. Like yesterday, I wanted to get some extra stuff done at the end of volunteering, but I was tired. We cooked very, very light dinner. We didn't do really anything. Didn't even do my dishes last night. I said, no, I'm tired. But it was good. And, going into this 3 weeks off of school, I know I have to adjust and I have to maneuver things differently because Grace is home. So there's got to be less work time and more free fun time so we can do our tasks and our activities. And I was excited about it, but I was also tired yesterday, and I knew that to do what we can do in these times, that I needed to have that time, and so did she. She was exhausted. She wanted to come home. She wanted to just kick back with me, and that's exactly what we did. Welcome, Juju. So, the expectations you'd never put on others, right? We have to bring in compassion to ourselves. Sweetheart and Galaxy, welcome. So, would you expect a friend to function like this? If they're running ragged, or wouldn't you, the first thing you would want to do, wouldn't you want to jump in to help them? Wouldn't you tell them, hey, chill out, you don't have to do this much. You know, you're already doing great. Like, that's what you would be to your friend. So why would you punish yourself, right? Welcome, Sniper and Six Rider. Welcome, and Cecito. Yeah, I'm not going to say your name. Welcome. Yeah, so would you judge someone else this harshly? Probably not, right? Abdul and Mel, welcome. Why do we demand superhuman strength from ourselves? Right? We internalize these standards. Welcome, Sarah. How are you? We internalize these standards, and we're used to, productivity culture, right? Like, got to get it done, get it done, get it done. But nobody ever stops and thinks, we keep going and going and going, and then how do we fill our own cup? And we decide that our worth is, if I don't get this done, I'm not going to be worthy of this love, of this gift, of this whatever. But what I really need you to understand is, no matter what, we're all inherently worthy, right? So we often confuse responsibility with self-pressure. Responsibility is about responding to what's real and necessary. Self-pressure is about forcing ourselves to meet expectations that don't match our current capacity. Jojo, Palm Beach, and Kenneth, welcome. When capacity and expectations are misaligned, guilt shows up. Not because we're failing, but because we're asking ourselves to perform beyond what's actually available. Guilt often appears when expectations exceed capacity. It's not a signal that you should push harder. It's a signal that something needs to be adjusted. Doing less in these moments isn't avoidance or weakness. It's honesty. It's acknowledging what's real instead of pretending you have energy, focus, or emotional bandwidth that you don't. Aisha, welcome. Sometimes the most responsible thing you can do is slow down, simplify, or pause. Not because you don't care, it's because you do, right? And we don't want to do things half-assed. We don't want to show up without intention. We want to be present for those that we care about, and especially us. Because if we don't care about ourselves, how can we care about anybody else, right? And understanding that is the difference. Because when you put everybody else above you, what happens when you run out? When there's nothing left of you, who's going to take care of all those people that you've been lifting up? You have to take care of you first. Because when you take care of you, you lift everybody else up out of overflow, which is fantastic. That's the goal. We want to do it from overflow, not from an empty cup. We're dying when we do it from an empty cup. We're taking our actual time off our life, and we don't want to do that. Welcome, Caitlin. So, capacity isn't weakness, it's truth. It's your body, nervous system, and mind communicating what can be held right now. Slowing down doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're listening. Capacity is information, not a moral failing. When we've lived in survival mode for a long time, slowing down feels unsafe. Literally feels unsafe, which is the weirdest thing ever. But it's true. We're used to pushing, overriding, and burning out just to stay afloat. But once survival pressure eases, continuing to operate at burnout speed creates harm instead of protection. Which is also something that's hard to understand when you've lived on survival, because you've never given yourself that moment to slow down when you so desperately needed it. And now is the time that you really need to start checking in, so you don't put that on yourself, because you wouldn't put that on your friend, right? Welcome, Eden. So learning to trust capacity is part of learning that you're allowed to exist without constantly proving yourself. Honoring capacity prevents burnout because it interrupts the cycle of overextension, resentment, and shutdown. When capacity is ignored, the body eventually forces a stop through exhaustion, illness, emotional collapse, or numbness. Capacity isn't about perfection, it's about listening. It's about responding to your body instead of someone else's timeline, right? And especially around Christmas and the holidays, we tend to respond to everyone else's timeline and not our own. So this Christmas, my homework for you would be some extra self-care. I don't care if it's sitting in the bathtub for an extra 5 minutes. I don't care if it's getting that bath bomb that you want and just laying out. I don't care if it's setting up your laptop, setting it on a shelf in the bathroom and watching Netflix in the bathtub. I don't care what it is. Taking that extra walk for yourself. You're going to find something, just one thing, and that's going to be your self-care, your start of your self-care, your little bit of dreaming, your little bit of, I can slow down and I can do this for just me. And trust me, you deserve it. You inherently deserve it. Whether you do your expectations or your capacity or not, you inherently are worthy of it. Welcome, J-Par, Jean, and Bintula. Welcome. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the expectations you'd never put on others. A powerful question that I always ask myself is, whose expectation am I trying to meet right now? Is it mine? Is it one that someone else has put on me? Is it one that is from when I was younger? This is an expectation that was held to me from other programming, from schools, from parents, from siblings. And are they truly mine, or are they inherited from systems, family roles, productivity culture, or past survival patterns? Like, these are questions, if we can ask ourselves and answer them truthfully, that's when we understand where and how our expectations are applied. Welcome, GTA King. Not every expectation placed on you is meant to be carried by you. If someone you loved, your child, a friend, a parent, was carrying the same load you are, would you expect them to keep pushing? And that's a really big question to ask, right? M. Chicago, welcome. Because if you wouldn't expect your child or your parent or your friend, someone you care about to carry that much of a load, why would you ever put that expectation on yourself, right? Because I've always lived by the rule of thumb, if I wouldn't do it myself, I wouldn't have asked it of somebody else. But what happens in that is you begin asking so much less and putting it more on yourself. You need to find that balance, right? And it should just be, I'm just as willing to do this for somebody else as I would myself, right? But start putting yourself at the top of the list. I'm not going to do this to myself anymore. That was survival mode. So when you start asking these questions, you're checking in with yourself is what you're doing. Like, would I really want someone else to do that I cared about? No. Then I probably shouldn't be putting that much on myself. That means we need to readjust something here, right? So would you judge them for needing rest, adjustment, or support? Probably not. I can almost guarantee not. So why would you judge yourself, right? Yale, Shaista, welcome. Often we hold ourselves to standards that we would never impose on anyone else. This is where compassion becomes clarity. When you begin separating your truth from external pressure, you create space to choose what's actually sustainable. You're not lowering standards, you're aligning them with reality. And alignment is what allows growth to continue without breaking you, draining your cup, or making you feel less than. Your worth is not measured by how perfectly you carry things, right? And then we have the seen versus unseen weight, light and shadow. People see your light, not the weight behind it. Strength often hides in exhaustion. Being proud of yourself includes honoring what you've survived, right? So we all have trauma. We all have struggles. We all have grief. We have all kinds of things that we carry with us as we're trying to heal and still get all these tasks done. Well, that has to come into our capacity, and we have to start making room for that. As we're letting it go and we're releasing it, if we don't sit with it and understand it, we can't release it. that has to be measured in with our amount of capacity, right? And that will change day to day as you're healing. Because once you heal it enough to release it, you make this much more room for everything else. But while you're healing it, you have to make sure that the capacity and the room for that is there, right? Miss Cess, welcome. So, being proud of yourself includes honoring what you've survived. Be proud of what you shine through, even when the shadows feel heavy. Oh my Lord, I couldn't even say the word. Capacity is not something to fix, it's something to listen to. Slowing down is not falling behind. Small, steady movements matter. Welcome, Zane. And I don't know how to say your name, but welcome. Today, ask yourself what enough looks like, and let that be enough. Whether it's one or two things, whether it's I can't do this today, but I could do this, right? Really ask yourself those questions. And then, sorry, I want to go on, there was two other things I wanted to make a point of. I have a whole bunch of notes, so I have to go through them. Yeah, the biggest questions, I just really want you to go over these ones. Whose expectations are these, right? Whose expectations am I trying to meet right now? Are they truly yours, or are they inherited, right? Are they inherited from systems, family roles, productivity culture, or past survival patterns, right? And then the other one is, if someone you loved, your child, a friend, a parent, was carrying the same load that you are, would you expect them to keep pushing? Would you judge them for needing rest, judgment, or support? These are the biggest questions that you can ask yourself, truly, right? And then we have, capacity is not something to fix, okay? Slowing down is not falling behind. Small and steady moments matter. Being present in the moment. Figuring out what you want to do. I'm going to pull cards here too in a minute to talk about it. But I wanted to make sure I got through all those notes. Because these ways are always ways for spirit to confirm what I'm talking about. But when we start to understand our capacity, it's going to be the same thing. If you notice, the theme of almost everything I talk about is it's asking questions, right? It's getting curious. And it's being honest with yourself. And being honest with yourself means you have to be accountable. And every time the filter changes, because as we heal, our filter and how we perceive the world is definitely going to change. But every time it changes, that's also going to change how our accountability stands. How we feel today is going to change our capacity for the day, and that's okay. Welcome, Cirillo and Max and Drake. Welcome. Alright, that was really quick, Spirit. Once you embrace your value, talents, and strengths, it neutralizes when others think less of you. This was it was like the first card popped out really quick. I didn't even get to shovel, and it's so clearly aligned. That's funny. Gross Bengala. I'm going to butcher that. Welcome. As you fall asleep, reflect upon your value, talents, and strengths. Okay? If you go to bed and you reflect on that, and at the end of the day, you have to think about that too. Because at the end of the day, how you went through your day, you're not focusing on the negative. You're celebrating the things that you already did. You're focusing on your strengths. And what you did well. And then that allows you the strength to figure out, hey, is there something I could do a little bit better? Do you think I could up my capacity for tomorrow? And when you release that stuff and you're not carrying it into your sleep, and you're only carrying the positives of your strengths and all the things that you're doing well, when you wake up, it's not going to be so heavy. It's going to be a little bit lighter because you will have released all that anxiety and negativity you've been carrying with you. So when you sit with your values and strengths at the end of the day and you just focus on them for a little bit and just celebrate them, even with a little small win, even with I love me and I did really well today, at the end of the day, you allow yourself to release all of that stuff. You don't carry it And then in your sleep time, doing what it does best, it heals your body, mind, and soul, and gives you that space to let things go while you're sleeping. And in turn, it lets you wake up much more lighthearted with much more capacity for all of the things that you have to take care of. I made it up here on the bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. Recall your nearest to death experience. What a miracle that we continue through these times. We literally run ourselves ragged. We run ourselves into the dirt, trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to worry about if someone's going to be happy or proud of us, when at the end of the day, nobody knows what you carry. Nobody knows what you do. And how many times have you ran yourself so ragged where you're falling asleep driving? You know, you accidentally almost run over some, like, get into an accident because you're damn near falling asleep driving because you're running yourself to death. These are things, we're not doing that anymore. That's survival mode, and we don't want to do that anymore. Carraro and Quicks, welcome. So, these are the things that I'm talking about. When we understand our capacity and we don't allow ourselves to run ourselves ragged, we keep that space for us, and we don't allow other people's opinions or expectations to judge how we listen to ourselves. Because when we show up and we're accountable to ourselves and we check in with ourselves and what our capacity actually is, not only do we show up with more compassion for ourselves, it teaches us more compassion for others because we know what we have to carry to maintain what we're doing. So it makes it a lot easier to understand what someone else might be carrying. And if I teach nothing else from this, that's what really what I want to do, right? So can I just have a couple? Well, just give me one. Innovation. Have fun and experiment, inventing something that surprises and has never existed before. And that is angel number 13. Look that one up. That may be helpful for this message. I like the art on this card. This is one of my daughter's favorite one of the cards because it's got the little cat in the sunshine. She thinks it's the cutest thing ever. The innovation card most often means that you're being called upon to use your creativity in a new and different way, to have fun crafting an inventive response to your challenge. It can also mean that your creation may be too similar to that of another person, or you have simply not been innovative enough in your approach. We all need to acquaint ourselves with the latest technology and methods if we want to think outside the box. It is equally important to think outside your comfort zone. Although innovation is usually associated with the latest technology and progress, it can sometimes be beneficial to spend your time discovering and adapting new approaches to a problem. Bend and break the rules. Okay, so also what I'm getting from that is when we understand our capacity, what happens is we learn to find new ways to meet our capacity and to still get those things done. We just find ways to be more innovative. So I'm going to give one example. A lot of times when I know my typing, I'm not, like, I type slow, I have fat fingers, I spend so much time backing up and redoing it. It's literally, it hinders me in my creativity. I can write it, like, handwrite it a little bit quicker, but it becomes overwhelming, right? And you get so caught up in trying to do it right. So instead of draining my creative process and draining those things, sometimes I record myself. I talk about it, I explain it, or I talk to ChatGPT or AI, any one of them, and explain what it is that I need. If I need a letter written, I say what the letter needs to say, and then let them reword it and type it out nicely for me. So instead of, I'm still saying it, I'm putting the time, effort, and being present into it, but trying to type it instead of cursing at the keyboard, I allow AI to help me do that, which is the smartest thing we can do. We recognize our strengths, and we use those strengths, communication, to help in ways when it has to send an email or write something down instead of trying to type it out or write it to a computer, we can just then have it so that we can copy and paste it in, but it's still our words, our work. It's just a lot easier that way. So welcome, Chase and Love. Welcome. So understanding what your capacity is and finding new and innovative ways around it is definitely one of the most beneficial parts of it. And then don't dim to fit in. I love this one. How are you dimming your light to fit in? Angel number 42. Also have a look at that one. That will be right aligned with this message. Ah, get back here. Alright. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? Don't dim your light to accommodate someone else's smallness. We are all born to shine big and bright. The universe is expanding and you are part of the universe, so expanding is part of your nature. If someone makes you want to retract, notice and then slowly back away. They are not for you and you are not for them. Better yet, find it within yourself to expand and shine your light anyway. Flowers don't open and close according to who is walking by. They open and show their beauty regardless. If others don't want to be around you or make them feel uncomfortable, it's because you are shining light on the fact that they are dimming to fit in. By choosing to shine bright, you may just inspire them to turn on their light too. Or not. Keep your light on anyway. All relationships are essentially an energetic agreement. The moment one person decides to start rising up and allowing their light to shine, it changes the energetic agreement and can create some waves. That's completely normal. The relationships that are meant to last will adapt to the change in energy. Others won't because they are likely born under the proviso of I love you as long as you don't shine brighter than me. And that's okay. Not all people are meant to be in your life forever, but the lessons they teach us can still live on. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? When you understand your capacity, you don't get drained by other people's expectations. You don't allow somebody else to tell you how you should think, feel, or behave, and you start trusting yourself. And when you do that, that's exactly how you don't dim your light, right? We stop doing that for ourselves. Welcome, Lucky and Sahar. All right, can I have one Moonology on this one? Step out of your comfort zone, yeah. Once you understand, you actually end up conserving. Look at that. And I opened right to it. So if that isn't confirmation, I don't know what is. So somebody needs this message today. There's a strong feeling when you get this card that it's time to leave the past behind somehow, because you're headed in the right direction. If you want to be happy and fulfilled, you need to get going towards doing the thing that scares you, within reason. This card is all about living your life purpose, which is possibly what you've asked about. It's urging you to dare to do something different with your life and your direction, to take action. So you are willing to follow through and lead your life you incarnated to live. If you finally find the courage to make the leap, there's a good chance you'll come to ask yourself, why did I wait so long? I know I'm headed in the right direction. You're headed for something which feels like destiny. You need to face fear and get over it. Time to stop obsessing about someone or something. Stand on your own 2 feet. You've got this. The North Node is where the moon crosses the ecliptic going north. It's a karmic point, and on the horoscope chart shows us that what we need to do and where we need to go with our life to find satisfaction, fulfillment, and happiness. The North Node is the karmic astrological point that reminds us, to paraphrase Andre Gide, that in order to discover new oceans, we have to be prepared to lose sight of the shore. We got to let go of other people's expectations. We're not holding on to that. The only expectation we should have is for ourselves. We should not compete or compare with anybody else but the person we were before. The day before, right? And in those steps, we're not punishing or hindering that person, our own self, which we're competing with, which is okay to compete with. But we're trusting our capacity, and we're understanding that we're not trying to punish ourselves. We're not trying to judge ourselves, and we're not setting ourselves up for failure anymore. We're done with survival mode. We're learning how to check in with ourselves and see how we feel. 11:11 on the clock. And this is kind of how December is. There's one more. It's talking about the trust and the flow after we begin to trust ourselves and understand our capacity, which will be next week's, which will be the end of Grace in the Grind. And the biggest reason that this was so important was once we did the fire and flow, was talking about peeling it back and understanding our traumas, understanding what feeling we need to feel, how to validate it, and how to understand it. And if you want to go and check out any of those, they're on my website, creativelyguided.ca. You can always go there. There's a whole healing hub. It's free. You just go and it'll take you to all the other content where I talk about all this healing stuff. Now, the Grace and the Grind, this one is going to be really, really good to go back to when we get into January Accountability Month. And it's got nothing to do with setting those New Year's resolutions. It's about if there's one commitment that we're going to do, it's committing to ourselves and bettering ourselves. And to do that, we have to understand our capacity. We have to know when to give ourselves grace. We have to know when we're holding on to someone else's expectation versus our own. And we have to understand, are we trying to do it to compete with the Joneses, or are we just trying to be better than we were yesterday? Accountability is so many different things, but you can't be accountable if you can't also learn how to give yourself and other people grace. So it's really, really, really important to understand the difference and to have a tool belt to go back to and learn how to give ourselves, to show up in grace and love and kindness for ourselves. And we're learning that. We've been peeling it back. We've been talking about it in the other one. This is one where we're going to learn to trust ourselves, to understand our capacity, and to learn how to give ourselves that grace so that when we do step out in accountability, we know how to trust the flow and trust the direction because we trust ourselves and we understand exactly what we can handle from day to day. And we got Star Family. I like this one. 108 also will be a good angel number to look up aligned with this message. At some stage, we were each part of a soul cluster, a gathering of souls who broke away from one another to experience themselves individually. Those who are part of your soul cluster are part of your star family. Your star family are those souls who are cut from similar cosmic cloth. You haven't just experienced lifetimes together. Miss Grace, stop, please. Okay, but I'm almost... Yeah, but you can't. I'm almost done. You need to let me finish. Of course I love you. What? Yes, but you have to let me finish. I'm almost done. You're doing really well. Judy, welcome. Firefighter interviews, welcome. All right, so your star family are those who are cut from a similar cosmic cloth. You haven't just experienced lifetimes together. Your souls were once actually one. It's very common for star family members to incarnate at similar times, to work with anchoring a similar frequency of light, and to cross paths with each other. You know that someone is part of your star family when you feel like you know and remember them from the moment you meet. They feel instantly familiar and comfortable. Time both passes quickly and stretches when you're with them. You feel more yourself with them than with anyone else. It can sometimes feel like looking in the mirror because in a way you are. Often you'll go out of your way to help those in your star family, instinctively knowing it's part of your path. When a star family member dies, you feel it very deeply, regardless of how long you knew them. A certain soul mourning or soul breaking occurs. Think about the people in your life. Who do you feel is part of your star family? If this card comes up in a spread, it's likely that you've met someone who is part of your star family or you're about to. Who do you think is from the same star family as you, and how can you call upon them for support? Once you understand your capacity and what you can handle from day to day, you can much more clearly communicate to those that you care about, okay? And those people that come into your life to help you, They're not judging you. They're not misunderstanding you. They're seeing what you're doing. They're watching what you're doing and saying, "Man, you work hard. You're doing a lot. How can I lighten your load?" Right? Which is what a true friend would do. Someone you cared about. That's how life is, and that's exactly what you would do for someone else. So of course it's going to be reciprocated back to you. But most importantly, you need to learn how to show it to yourself first, so that in those times, in those moments, you can be that friend. Until those people show up for you, until you cross their paths, until you get to meet each other, you got to be that person to you. Because people have to know how to treat you. And they're not going to know how to treat you if you don't even know how to treat you. It's the most important thing you can ever do for yourself. Welcome, Cheryl and Karina. Welcome. Okay, can I just have a couple healing energy oracle on this message today? A couple affirmations that we can keep in mind. Oh, you almost flipped that one. Yeah, that's my favorite one. So I knew that one was going to come out. We don't want that many. Just a couple, please. Give me one more. One more. Okay, two more. All right, so we have, of course, my favorite is positive thinking. My life is full of small patches of light. I direct my thoughts to that which brings me well-being. I place what is weighty for me into the hands of the universe. Little by little, the light awakens in my being, and I find serenity. It's one of my most favorite ones, and if we can learn these affirmations and start actually speaking them out into the universe, speaking them to ourselves, then we actually get to teach ourselves how we want to be treated. And in turn, we show the universe, and we allow those people that are going to show up in our lives to completely understand who we are, from the safe space of being our most authentic self, right? And then peace. I am unwavering in the face of fear. I come to my senses and embrace challenge. I'm determined to think with gentleness and calm. I find an inner silence and become a manifestation of peace. And you don't get that running on empty. You don't come to this place of peace running on empty, stuck in survival mode. Learning how to give yourself grace in those moments and understand your capacity along the way, and understand that that capacity changes from day to day because we're human beings and we have a lot of things to do. When we understand that, that's how we get to that space of peace. Sawyer, welcome. And just kidding around, welcome. And then Shining Light. Miss Grace, I know, and I love you so much, but we have two more. Look, I have three more to do, and then I'm done.
I just need to talk to one of our viewers.
You have to talk to one of our viewers? What do you have to say?
I need my friend.
Who's your friend?
I just need to know for a minute. It's Willow.
Okay, well, Willow's not on here.
Maybe I can just call her hey, where's that phone?
Well, you can't call her right now.
Why?
Because I'm using the phone. I'm working.
Where's my fucking phone?
Okay, hey. Okay, you can say hi quickly. Say hi.
Hi.
Say happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Okay, now go sit down. Let me finish what I'm doing. It's almost Christmas. You're right. Sorry. She just needed some attention. She's out of control. Princes and Aids, welcome. Just kidding around. Sorry, guys, but school's out and we have to give her peace in the moment. Shining Light. My desire to improve myself transforms fear into strength. I raise my thoughts above doubt and find faith in the goodness of the universe. I love and accept myself as a soul, and I discover the light that dwells in me. All of these things don't happen until you start understanding your capacity. And the only way you're going to do that is when you start committing to yourself. Welcome, Shin. When you commit to yourself, checking in with yourself, understanding that you can change your mind based on your capacity, and understanding that by the end of the day, if you're just too drained to do something, not doing it is the best thing you can possibly do for yourself. And then open to the universe. I'm discovering my worth and my abilities. I have confidence in my value and my potential. I reclaim my inner power. I accept and love myself completely. Thus, I am open to the divine light of the universe. And the only way you get there is when you start showing up for yourself. getting curious. Ask yourself those questions. Am I putting too much on myself? Would I expect that of my kid, my parents, somebody I love? If the answer is no to any one of those, then it's time to readjust some of the things that we're doing and some of our expectations for what we're doing, and find a way to maybe innovate some new ideas that make some of the things that we have to do a little bit easier. Welcome, Roger. So it's very easy to do. Let me rephrase that. It becomes more easy to do. It's not something that starts out being easy. It can be confusing, and learning how to give ourselves grace when we're so used to putting so much expectation on ourselves. It takes some practice, but it does get easier. It really does get a lot easier, and it becomes a lot easier to discern once you've made that space for yourself. But until you do that, it can become very uncomfortable. Slowing down can make you feel like you're failing or not aligned, and that's not true. It's just learning how to understand and discern what's meant for you. 11:22 on the clock. Welcome, Martine. Okay, Miss Grace, you got 5 more minutes. You got to sit down. I'm almost done. Okay, but you have to follow in with your end of the agreement, right? I got 3 more to do, and then we're gonna go. Okay, but you have to deal with your end. Grace, 1. Okay, that's a great idea. Her patience, I can't say nothing because she's doing good. Oh, that's perfect. And what came out was alignment, and I love this one. I had to know that one was going to come out just because that's exactly what we're talking about. Number 18, page 56. All right. Inner integrity, being a vibrational match for what you want to bring it into your life, manifesting from a place of love over fear, energy flows where attention goes, and subconscious sabotage, seamlessly actualizing our dream. Okay, we don't get to this space until we start understanding our capacity. We can't align with anything until we start aligning with our own true self, right? That's the very basic of the truths. Welcome, HP and Delio and Char. Welcome. We all have the ability to manifest the life we wish to call in. However, we may find our desires are not actualizing as we hoped. Energy goes where attention flows, and if our thoughts and focus fixate on something that opposes what we want to bring to our lives, this will cause dissonance. This is where there's an is there an internal sabotage? Are we, without realizing, undermining ourselves through our language, our worries, and the broken records that play in our minds? To bring something to your life, become the vibrational match for it. Imagine what it feels like to already have what you desire and cultivate that feeling. This is the key to powerful manifesting. Preparing ourselves and our environment as if what we are manifesting is a certainty also creates a shift in our thinking. When we want and strive for something, we create more wanting and striving. When we immerse ourselves in what it is like to already have something, we will be in the perfect vibration to receive it. Also, consider whether you are choosing to manifest something from fear or love. Unfortunately, if our wants are driven or born out of fear, we will amplify this. When our heart motivates our desires, whatever we manifest is aligned with love. Look at where your desires and manifestations are being seated. If your plans or dreams aren't unfolding as you would like them to, it's time to take a deeper look at other areas of your life. Is something out of step with integrity? Are you making decisions through fear or love? If it is through fear or avoidance, your manifestations may seemingly backfire to encourage experiences that will bring you back to balance. It is time to become a vibrational match for what you are seeking instead of striving harder for something. Cultivate the feeling of already having all you seek. You will be surprised at what this shift in perspective creates. Now, when we get to this perspective and the shift, we do that by understanding what we have the capacity, and then balanced forces on the bottom of the deck. That's funny. It's not funny. It's absolute confirmation. But talking freely, Danny LeBlanc and Katie, welcome. So the whole understanding is to align. We have to understand what we have, right? What we have the capacity to do. And we have to understand that daily it's going to change. And we have to trust ourselves. We can't follow our intuition and trust those guided movements, ideas, and suggestions if all we're doing is running on empty. If we're running on what somebody else expects of us and not sitting with what we actually expect of us. And when we expect too much of ourselves, if we wouldn't expect it of our children, of our parents, of our best friends, we certainly shouldn't be expecting it of us. So understanding when to give grace to ourselves and to show up in compassion reminds us that we're not in survival mode anymore. We didn't do all this work to get out of survival mode to rush right back into it because we're scared or we're worried about what someone else is going to think of us. That ship has sailed a long time ago, and we're learning that we deserve just as much compassion as we show to everyone else. She's done really good. She's ready to go. I love you too, baby. 16. I'm almost done. I got 2 more. You're doing so good. I'm proud of you. Okay, so hold on. Almost. Yes, baby. All right. Prairie Gamer, Ollie, Miss LeBron James, welcome. All right, 16, readjustments. If this isn't talking about aligning with the message, I don't know what is. So when you start seeing this number around 16, it'll start popping up all over. That's your angel saying, we see you. We know you saw this message. And we know that maybe you need to stop and reassess. Check in with yourself. You need to see what you need to adjust, what's going on around you, what you're thinking. Because sometimes it could be just a flash of an idea. There could be something playing on the TV, something that sparks an idea that could help make some of your things that you're trying to do just a little bit easier for you. A way that you can show up in a little more compassion for yourself would be great. Hi, Destiny and Bolalona. Welcome. So angel number 16 is for the message today. And then it says readjustments. Overcoming obstacles, soulmates, romance, affection, support, comfort, renewal, and reconnection. Your self-control is strong enough to set things right. A new romantic or platonic friendship is on the horizon, along with the opportunity to reconnect and start anew with someone from your past. Trust that everything will fall into place as you embrace these positive changes. When we readjust and we check in with ourselves and we do the things that allow us the space to say, hey, I don't have the capacity for that today. Hey, I'm not doing this today because I've already done enough and I deserve to have that rest. Allowing yourself that same grace you would give to your friend is the first and most important step you can do to stay out of survival mode and start becoming in alignment with all of the things that we're trying to manifest into our lives. Welcome, Michelle, and good vibes, and Boy George, welcome. Okay, can I just have a couple affirmations on this? You know, affirmations are probably my most favorite thing in the whole world. So just give me a couple, though, because my daughter's getting feisty, and we got to get outside. There's one. Yep, that's one of my favorites. Okay, I'll take those. Okay, so I can't control the world, but I can control how I choose to perceive it. Are you looking for a wife? Give me 1 sec. When I finish these, I will just do one. I'll do a quick ask for you. But what I want you to understand is when you're not running on survival mode and you check and you understand your capacity, you allow yourself the space to change how you perceive the world because you see it from a different filter, right? Guidance is available to me now. I know that angels, ancestors, and spirit guides are always at hand. I do not walk alone. But you can't hear them if you're running on survival. You can't hear them if you don't stop and check in with yourself. And you can't hear what they are if you don't even know what your own voice is. Checking in with yourself on a regular basis, learning to understand what your capacity is and learning to understand what your actual expectation is allows you that space to learn, see, and understand all of those things. Owning my power inspires others to do the same. I'm not afraid to shine. And then we have my power lies in my peaceful presence. When we start searching for peace, okay, the only place to search for it is within us, okay? And when we do that, we're going to understand our capacity. And it's literally asking these questions. Sorry, I put those cards away, but I want to just pull this back out. Because these are just simple questions. Is what I'm asking of myself today realistic? Or is it inherited pressure? Really simple question. But when you answer it honestly, it's going to give you your answer of what you should be doing, right? And then we have morning daily ritual, how to check in with myself. How am I actually feeling today? What do I realistically have energy for? And reassess periodically through the day so you can understand. And then what would support my nervous system today? How can I do that? What do I have in my tool belt? What do I have ready that I know and understand, right? And then would you expect a friend to function like this? This is how we're checking our expectations, right? Would you judge someone else this harshly? And why do we demand superhuman strength from ourselves, but we wouldn't demand it of anyone else, right? Couple more questions. Whose expectations are these? Whose expectations am I trying to meet right now? Are they truly yours, or are they inherited from systems, family roles, productivity, culture, or past survival patterns? Not every expectation placed on you is meant to be carried by you. If someone you loved, your child, a friend, or a parent, was carrying the same load as you, what would you expect? Would you expect them to keep pushing? Would you judge them for needing rest, a judgment, or support? Probably not. So these are just simple check-in tools, simple questions to ask yourself, and they're definitely going to start changing your life when you start committing to yourself and asking them. And it's 11:33 on the clock. Thank you, Spirit. All right, good vibes. What was your question? Will you find your wife this year? Like this year? You understand the year's almost over. You got about 2 weeks. It's 2:33. Where are you? No. I was saying, you understand that it's the end of the year, right? So you have only a couple of weeks left. You're asking if you're going to find your wife this year or next year. Because this year seems, it's 2 weeks. Have you been searching that hard? Have you met anybody? I have questions on your question before I ask the question. Because I need to know what the question I'm going to ask is. Single and searching. Okay. Are you going to micromanage the universe to only give it 2 weeks to find you your wife? I can't tell you something about you. I can tell you're impatient if you're trying to only give the universe 2 weeks to find your wife. You've lived this far, this long. I don't think 2 weeks is going to cut it, bud. But how about we ask for next year? Let's give the universe a little time to weave its web. And give you a little bit of time to align with it. We don't want to rush. 2 weeks is a little much. Especially if you're still single and searching. That doesn't mean you might not meet the person, but you're not getting married in 2 weeks, right? So we're going to ask for the 2 weeks, or we're going to ask for 2026. You got to let me know, and then I'll proceed as follows. All right, so I see that you're not as impatient as I once thought you were. You're already smart. You're adjusting your goalposts, which is reasonable. All right. Will Good Vibes find his wife in 2026? Oh, you got 3 cards. We have the King of Pentacles, but they're all... hold on, wait. Nope. I'm going to try again because I have my whole deck upside down. So they're going to be either all in reverse. That's better. I knew, because they were all upside down. So we got a yes, but this is the 9 of Wands. right? Which is an ongoing battle. So, it's an ongoing battle, battle-weary, fatigued, strained of energy, nearly there, close to success, courage, persistence, perseverance, backbone, learning from past failures, and gather your strength. Okay, so what it's saying is, you're still working on you, right? And if you're actively working on you and you're showing up for you in that manner, the manner that's going to make you a good husband, that's going to make you the leader, the provider, the protector, and not just physical protector, right? Because your job is to emotionally protect her, to mentally protect her, to love her, to give her space to heal and grow. So along the way, you have to understand to align with it, you have to do the things. So, is he on the right path? Is he doing the things necessary? And if he maintains this trajectory, is it a positive potential? And we got King of Wands. So that is a yes. So if you stay the path, if you stay doing the work, showing up for yourself so that you're aligning and being the good husband that you're going to be, right? And by the way, the provider and the protector doesn't mean that you have to be the money maker and always in the situation. It doesn't mean 50-50. It doesn't mean any of those things. It means what works with your partnership. It's great if you want to be the protector and the provider and all those things, but it's more about what they mean and less so much about financially, because the idea is that you're going to support that person, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. So if something happens, even if you're the provider and something happened, you want someone that's going to show up for you as equally, if not more, than you're already showing up for them. So I'm not saying financially is not a thing there, but it also means understanding that being the provider and the protector means allowing that space and trust in your partner that if something happens, you know they're going to step up with the same strength and same courage that you would, right? What I got is definitely a double yes. And what it means to me is you've been doing the work, right? That's the wounded warrior there. You've been doing the work. You've been showing up, battle weary. But when you keep doing it, that's where you're going to show up, right? You're doing the action. You're sitting on the throne. You're just waiting. You're doing the things. The universe is weaving its web. Just trust in it. Trust in yourself. Do the work. Show up with care and compassion. Understand the time, right? Understand your time. Understand what your expectation, okay? Your expectation versus someone else's and what you have the capacity to handle. Give space for your capacity. Give space for your partner's capacity in that time. Make sure you're allowing for it. And the universe, you got to make sure you make room. Don't hold on to grudges, angers, resentments. 12, 20, 91. Oh, you're just a baby. Aw. 12, 20, 90, 91 is your birthday. Wait, today's the 20th. Is it your birthday today? Happy birthday. That's good. One full year. So your birthday next year, you're gonna find your wife if you stay doing all the good things. That's amazing. And that's a great way to end my show, because I was just finished. I just got done my capacity. You can always go check out the prior versions on my website at creativelyguided.ca. I have my healing hub, so it has the links to all my other content that I post up. You can always go and get my teas, my art, all the stuff I make is all handmade with love and intention. But you don't have to go to the website just to buy. There's lots of free stuff, and there will be lots more free stuff coming onto it, because it's about finding a space to heal and love ourselves and grow, right? Because the more we show up for ourselves with that love and that caring space for ourselves, we're inherently giving out to others, and those ripples will change the world. Thank you. That's really sweet. So yeah, go check it out. I will have this one post up on my YouTube. You can go Creativity Guides Me on my YouTube, and I always post the all the other ones, and this one will be up today, and then next week, sorry, I blanked out. Next week will be the final one of the Grace and the Grind. But you can always go there and watch my replays. And I also do the monthly guided action steps per sign. You can go check them out there. And there was one more thing. Oh, yeah. And I have the guided action steps. All the guided action steps that I do here, you can also purchase it personally for your own self on my website. Which would be either a video or a Zoom call where we go through all of the action steps, and you can book it and get your own personal guidance for the year. So I have not been to Jamaica, but eventually I pray to go. It's on my bucket list, don't you worry. Oh, that's funny. I think everybody would have to go to Jamaica at least once before they die. It's a beautiful place. All right, I have to go check out all your stuff. I have a absolutely rambunctious daughter over here. She's been waiting patiently. She's been doing really well. So I will post the replays of this up on my YouTube at Creativity Guides Me, or you can check out my website, Creatively Guided. All of the good stuff is there. And I'll see you guys next week. Well, there'll be a couple lives before Christmas so I can finish the action steps, but I'm always live on here, so just keep your eye out. Follow me. Go check out my YouTube. I post there all the time. I'm always here. All right. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing love, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And for anyone I don't see before Christmas, have a fantastic Christmas. I love you guys. Have a good day.